You're listening to Bitilo with Mfali Fadera. You're listening to Bitilo with Mfali Fadera.
Assalamu alaikum badi la melalu ngali kontong ngali bismillah nabi tilo kibaro di jang alnal badi malum falli fadera ngali kontong bi epre karo tili follow la menyin sango men kono men kanyanta arbalungo fe bi mbe men kala jang wala mumbe tenten na breaking news coverage analysis la lembe men ngamenda nun kunung membe dending Ousainou Bojang ning abari musola ami Bojang na kuo wala kita moliti men yalon ko police olu tata nyapi wala ken ye arrest mile 2 kabintumo menna yela kiti ke kiti bunga kanwadi ko ye tumi bundale men la e meboya kan andun anata beldi la ko e nyanta sele la solo konole be bula kanga ko kibaro no makabintumo men na wulta somanda ngaje ko chocho sembo warta gambe banko kan fo police wolu ning molu mata nyola je funding ke wolu bawlu kono gunjur sate dingol bawlu kono ani moko tan wolu men yalon ko atanyi Ousainou ning abare muso la ko yesu la bara manke itol dammangol fanandi bari luwaning tilingola ko fanay molu su men sula gambe banko kam molu fintita jamalu fintita itata kay dabula wo balambay tan do kono be dinkalo kono mba fanundila nyaata do manding bari ngam molu men soto jangalun tam balel soto jam men yalon ko wollel be makoyla wo kachato kaje ko de nga bula kol be no makol men yalon ko wollel sotota bitilola Gambia banko kan kabo Brufut kabo Banjul adin dula ko tangol to ngamen soto jang wole mu alnyabe men membe tematen wole mu Hakeem Touray atele mu national coordinator also the president, you can correct me if I am wrong, of the activist movement GALA, Gambia Against Looted Assets waketa wo funding ke kafuti me alon ko ikalo kaje ko de tilingoni to nyasi sabati banko kam ate fana na la kafo dingo molu e findita num ka atenyin Ousainou ning abare muso fasa kalo kaje ko de ye tilingoni to nya fana fasa nabe diam lale ko lu be lata nyamen ko lu keda nyamen atenyin Brufut ning dinkira ko tengol to Gambia banko kam Essa Njie fana mbejang Essa Njie mu PhD researchality bari political analyst ol fana mati mole melon kala lundo lukata bake ni nata political la tarinke sako ko men yalon ko wolel be ke kan Gambia banko kan afana mu lecturer to University of the Gambia nyaata do manding mbe yilla kan honorable Lamin Baye la me yalon ko atele munum principal magistrate di Banjul Magistrates Court afana mbe yilla kan ko be kafulamma kana ka kacha me yalon ko wole be dending atenyin ku kilin wala ansal bula alse molu kontom dro ko la dron nsina senkam bula simfal no ma kolu no ma men yalon ko wolelu sotta kabirin kunun kana foka bula nyintem bola ko la ngana bula kacha kono mba folo la Hakeem se bula ni mol se nyokondo wo ko lan sina bula kacha kono bismillah
Regula ram fali and baraka bake be mo be konton na bitiro jibe lalu Gambia jankata fo Gambia bantala be mo be wulara limbara
Edimbara baraka bake mbadi wala mu Hakeem Touray. Hakeem is the national coordinator of the GALA movement. Essa Njie?
Yeah, baraka bake fali be Hakeem fanan content pour ka kafunyin kachato ka ku kacha me yalon ko abe dending membe kering Gambia bonko kan kabirin kunun anim bila surtout justice la karola mu tilimo la karola
baraka bake mbadi wala mu Essa Njie ko ngafa nyameng pour ka kacha nying kono fanandi be menkela wala mu be sabala ko male nga jibero ke ku wala men yalon ko wolel keta many yem mfutandi nyim palaso to jam bitilo lambe tembo mento ten nal hakilo bakang Ousainou Bojang anabari muso molle me alon ko e be loru nun kitole la nun high court men felenting banjul sate kono damenti alon ko ye tumi ko police officer fulol men alon ko ye wollel bunkido la ye fa jabang sate kono ye kilim barama wo sotta sanji fula saba komando ko itollel yake ela kitio lo jam fara sanji fula nim feng bankola mole sede tan nin saba komandi ye sede jaro la kiti bungo kono balamba bunda molu fanam ye sede jamalu komandi kela balamba ya fasa ye sede jaro fana la kiti bungo kono kiti teo nata ke nyintenen tambila kiti tela nying menketa justice Ibrahima Jededi mem felenting high court banju sade kono ay kitio te ko bankola molu man senandir keno tumiro la yemenu den Ousainou na bari muso kangoda anata dalilolu fintini men siata dalilu luluti kata woro kam abu be kayitandi ko bankola molu man senandir keno tumiro la yemenu la Ousainou na bari muso kan biri woketa ko banko kitabo liye momo so hako men rom kitio kono bankola loyalo men benum banko to ala kiti ngoto ina rafoko ibe laflele pour kiti bungo se kangodi Ousainou se muta watere to lela apilo dundi ko la fakela kontan balala itandi kiti te nyala kiti te la nyina rafo ko kala kontan balala itandi kito ke nyala o malla hakoldi o malla nyantoldi bari Ousainou fanan ka bula bella fanan malla hakona la nyantoldi akoy ko be Ousainou bula la bellale watere to letara la apilo tamakam ate saratita wala la kiti bungo kono wolungola ana raf belo sato men landi belo kuna tola wala mu dalasi wuli talulu Gambia dingol selo Ousainou ye ka bela na bari muso so Ousainou badingol na terol tara mile 2 kunum menkera talato de pour que Ousainou bel o bel dulato e ye paral tara lori Njie e ko inata Ousainou le kamba.
The police has just rearrested Ousainou. Ousainou has just been rearrested by the police. As you can see, Ousainou is
alnyabe wala natalo la teng woketa num fenti malon ko sorota num mile 2J biring Ousainou na bari musolu ana badi ngolu na terolu fintira pour kata ke bel polisol nata bantabilité may ko ye samba polisol la kunda bato men felenting banjul sato kono nga kalamuta fanan ko bankola molu fanan lafaka tanun kiti bungo do pour kiti bungo se bantambili ñu labbelo bubulo kola wonata chocho sembo warande molu fintita balambay tan do keta ñin somanda fana molu nata finti kotake kaw balambay tan dikilo ke nim polisol nata ma nyola bari inse mile to video jibe nim murtanam ngana nga dinka kolu kono men yalon ko lel sodata bi Brufut sate kono anin dula ko
the police has just rearrested Ousainou. Ousainou has just been rearrested by the police. As you can see, Ousainou has been rearrested. Right now, he's been rearrested. Ousainou, you are okay, huh? Ousainou has been rearrested again. Ousainou has been rearrested again. Ousainou Bojang has been rearrested by the state. Ousainou has been arrested, don't worry. You'll find Ousainou has been rearrested.
mbari wolo wole munum college men ketanu mile 2 nga video muta kemisen keksane bulu mile 2 jelem nyapita kan ya samba police la kunda bato nata murundi mile 2 kotake we molu kan fa mol ni yokuya katu mo jamale menje wole muko nin kiti bungo e kiti yote ala damento mo manya na bondi la woto bari mbe dinkala kono le nyaatu do mandi bari ngaaje nyin so manda fanan molu wulita Ousainou la kola mama woni chocho keta molu ning polisol fana mata nyola fonding kewlu anim Brufutun kolu ngo video fana jibe
As you can see, tensions are escalating in Brufut. You can see Alibaba is sitting right there doesn't move.
Mbari ngolu alinyabe nyi men la ten Gambia lem mfangola police olu men la doko mu pour kaje ko ye banko dingol tanka na jorangol ni na nafulolu mbolel ni molu be nyola min ku kanko kiti bungo saratita menna i manson nakatama wala la wala mol ne ku yafa mol fintita bari ngaje biri nyinketa coco fekketa sembo nata wara fondinke wala findita Brufutun ko wala findita nata nyin kuma kon fana muta police wala bulu alingo fala.
Hello viewers, the Gambia Police Force wished to inform the general public that Ousainou and his sister have been released from police custody. In light of this, we want the public to maintain calm and restraint. The Gambia Police Force is committed to maintaining peace and order.
wole mu polisolu la diamulati menkete la public relation officer ki membe ni bantaran kulu tema menketa ASP Ibrahima Sisawati ko polisolu ye Ousainou bulale ana bari muso anden fana nataje online le fana ko ye bulale e murtela ela sabati bulal to le sol kono so nga mol men soti jan kana kam makoy kanyin ko bo moli nyoto wole mu Hakeem Touray di president o GALA aning Essa Njie Hakeem lafaka kacha follow itelela lafake inyininka menna wole mu follow itela reaction munabe kelela mirodi nyin koldo men yalon ko wolel bebe ke kam Ousainou la muto na la bulo anala senka muto koteke you know nyim mama men nin chocho men na rafinta ko nyin kono fo mole finti dan sa follow wala reaction momenti anim fana bella fele sa fo mole ba wayte benu njele Brufut sa to kono you were on the ground isa fo mole yemen jeje inyala je ani yemen je funding fotowol fam be bulata men kono je bismillah
Baraka bake mfali once again mbe mobe kontona komi nyindal jero mumindi je wala muko nakaro wala la fakela because police wala multimin yana go especially to GALA comme tol GALA mol always ka to min fala ni wala ko alban ko la loi à la respect almost ni la push and pull anytime e ka min fo ni wala ko alban ko la loi respect so ninga jo police kelmol fon lafta ka loi na kari ngami rol fon mu dalilo de minan na fon fo ntolu nta falan kam fara bo jusubo dun tan nga ko manya sila nga nyim ko to nyama because a metale abitakan ko tanin nala man kuma foje because code name fengo bitakan je maybe police or bajala kon na protest in and out maybe man luwa respect but tol fon within us tol we know ko any matter that is before the courts we never talk about it nka make sure by all means we just leave that matter to the courts near fengo fen decide that is it but ning quarter of a saying court yela verdict di more free then police all they must come out with something very valid coming ko fengo mi yalan ko ajartale ning moya je wala ning moya moy ya je ko okay nyinde ajartale pour nying harisa tra siri nyindula even though court ya fole pour ya bula but ma woje you understand so ayeng hakilu be murundi dami wala mu like moku foyanin kula choki wala bering na fonning ke odol fundi dan tata wo mol kono nung mini arresta omo muang ani sabuli mini samanu mile tu ye almost 3 nani suda nani lanu mile tu le bering tata kanifing courts you know ya 3 sabala police station or dani nate samba court ya arrange before the magistrate o membanta talani so biri wo ko gal ay deny bail lale ibitala mile tu le you understand that is a court order you understand me so fonninkel subota ay kamfata i la motol nyato je iko bol la moto nyinta bola je pour que sama mile tu you understand police on nada mina fonna spokesperson olon ko abanko la loi abola disrespect kan no amam banko la loi horoma ama bunya because nin court komi yake moma nyal lola wo nyato so ni tol yo fontole num wolumo B court kilo na fem for me alan ko is not in favor with them minati netol fana don't advise num mina prunga work mina netol to kala B amiran tola wilo fongo be sababu bilinga call connect ngaje ko okay yentol bali num minna kon kana minke sa bi tol fon fele bole ke kan so a jartale pour nga finti ngata wala na bilin kunu finti tanu but kunu ngamin plan wala keta exactly nga plan ngami nga soto wala nyama pour bi sekete ndi wala kunu finti tanu and thank God bi birin fudara Brufut dal man fenji je min sa foko nena maja but coming aketa nyaming ala sembo nying nena ma wo sembe si famila because mantra ko expect from within just less than 12 hours yefundi mol kay ko lafta at this point in time maybe in 9 hours later or 8 hours later lafta minala nga kafwal fe ning albe pareding nga finti nga Ousainou ning ala sister la bulo nga komandi masakunda bulo pour mo la ko mo iebula that is like within 12 hours ngo foye no birin futara Brufut contental because ni rala join mol kampuri ni e kuke inata yo to yato nyang kafuta minni kang itolle fon ya mutante di kontano ni sewo da may ko le soto wodo so Brufut bi min keta je amba ngamira ente kala police ole karandi road because ni magge signa follow de ni sifa ketela no mandina rinne bi fana fela ketela Brufut jang because mandina rim fana yo la fon ninge tang ani woro la mutandunne you know nga the same strategy min ke jang ka Brufut fon ningel mako ngola ke no mandina fon ningel fana so at the end of the day fon ningel kala fiminna wala ka fintinang ena manka ka fintinang just pour que kanganya bara ka fintinang because ibe min kumandi ka wala right so ngamira police o nyanda kile ye learning point le bare malla na tara nun to nya ni nyen kusi fa keta e ka see ko analyze ya for next time we will not allow this to happen again malla ni ikawo kenum then Ousainou la case iba alalo we keden so ko fengo mi yalan ko court order long we expect them to respect court orders because you told they are the custodians of the law so ni tol from a court law order and the rule of law it all you from they are disregard what are they expecting from the citizen it's just disappointing and very discouraging definitely for now yeah
Hakeem, I still want to stick with you. Lafa ke nyininga kudantan la because mbe reporter men moy ka wala muko dolu baramata le dolu ko dolu fango fata ako nyin konole. Ite be jele you guys you are working in close collaboration with the community nying. First of all, if you can confirm, you know, molu men baramata molu men yalon ko ni alamantan kala ku kereje yemune moy yemune keso sodo wo kodo. But if anan janibe futala wodo fana nisa fola moli ko how alfutata woto nyaadile fo laban wala liparol nim baramarol keta because nga video lu menje online nga jele ko dol be jele baramanolu be bala you know ye lipa batinu la dol be je tia gas le wolel fayikan yemune je biral findita te nyim Brufut sate kono al nim police la nyi standoff kono je
yeah amba police ngamira ye ya start ka tia gas of Brufut before tol fango foraje because comme nga fa nyambe rek ntol tata ka fuka Brufut ko le mako do mobilization on fango ben tol lengo okay externally ka modol commande na mine bobol na sati dot but danin tol fanga futaje birin ni tamo min communicate biro tamo sita e me bado purun tol ngana ya start ko mala fong which is wonderful so ya start marché to daminto amra police on nga information so ko ibe nu Westfield le mo bado ka wolto no but unfortunately for them e man na mulje Westfield but ngamira bidu internet ko no ya communication ol kenyaji we not understand ko okay these people are gathering at Brufut instead of Westfield so ndabe nu ton table olto nga gala moto jabe tambika within less than 20 minutes, nata je journalist or dolbe live by indicate kanko ya mol mentala marcheto. They didn't even imang mobo nyoto. Musol mimbe siri ba wafirola. Pabil mimbe siri bela nye wafola mo be chirinjeto etiaga so fay bela ka woto. So tiaga so fight a marche kono daminto because nyilbe lori marche la manola kang. Marche be just beside mano nyinkang. So ni tiaga so fay mano kang obviously tiaga so la effect aka jamfa bakele. So mulmi mo marché to meri ni mo marché ro aso defense left but like iman tra filming expect kang ni wo na te kan sa ko film yang ko tiaga so long so wolo dula to mero min affect ho dula sa ko tiaga so sutiata mulmi na siatali birin dal lockdown do ngam find out wala mo 19 including 6 months old baby boy o fana affect jere so ke barindo fana bi o ngam do sira ko karworo kamandi ngolon karworo wo mfongo loda kunda be wadu ni ka loptano kono mfongo lorin fo la ram kan ye funto sinandi ya amanya dala at that time pour ko poso ne andi domani karworo abama mi ngaba ma nyininka nen keksi abama nyininka ako dinno wani masani kelisi karworo abolto kamandi ngolon but nga kibaro dol jiji bi kon dol fon bi jele nga moy modol ba fo kanko dinno wani fatale but dinno wani abani yolale and pabiringo mi yalan ko fan affect ñu beti olom pabino de min abe sirala korda bundal to ye tiaga so fay so tiaga so not directly ala forehead I wala hit kanistani ala forehead la hit pira hit je among I injury min ke ja wata ba be yellow spill tale and ye farata le fana so wo pabino bir ya samba Brufut lockdown je to je all they couldn't take care of this condition in ata rifatun demban so coming keba mi mati and tiaga so e duikang after ye injured fa ala family coming he was unconscious olam pabi nyindi so abe unconscious rin na bri ba bondi kam Brufut lockdown to ka transfer kata ndemban so ala family member do bije wo coming a terrified da mai mang I expect ko mobe la condition of media amira ko he's not responding inata kung kibari di mo la ko nying afata you understand sa ko mol mi yalan ko mang pabi nyindi nyun bri ba transfer la ndunga tabe nun jere bri bo transfer la ka mi fu mol yolon ko afata so wala num pabi na sango nyin kankulata num but immediately ngo publish I had a nurse member amba Ndemban clinic she reach out to me kata nina ko pabi nyin bi right now though ala condition is just critical very very critical I will for you she was well enough with me I mean for your kala condition is critical but he is still alive so immediately I had to go to Facebook again ngana post ni ngamin kenum alia ngo did it nara tandiga lako. The old man is still alive and breathing, but his condition remains very critical. So ngamira tiagas fayo damare momo nata wo loktano ro la wo motang anin kono do min be affecta muso kono ma be kono la min affecta mang nyamal lo no kambi ko ya dundi da min jam fara mam lo nata kunta bor muso kono ma bi jele ala bin kire ngo min ya lon ko bokumbo kan ngole sama loktano don dan texli wo fon sama loktano do muso kono ma affecta le de nano mi anko kamandi ngola be sanji woro o fana kar woro o fana affecta le anin mo tannin kono dol. So will be more Jamie Yalanko anata wodula because animal takitanyola or whatsoever will be tia gas along or batino yelipa wall. So police will be in some fono walamu brutal treatment yola keje like they were not showing any mercy to anybody. Need ba file down they become for going no that they just go ahead and do whatever they want to do. Yeah.
Perhaps the most important and last question nyante ke nyininka maybe from nyanta follow dan wala Ousainou alhalo be nyadile is he back home?
Yes, Ousainou setan and so kono do ndefongo mola siayati na ndefongo mon sutiyano wala but from a distance mbaji bekang he was looking strong physically you can tell or maybe other things funding doctors and others you prove out but physically you can see the excitement on his face and he was looking very healthy and strong. Likewise al assistant fana ami yeah.
Baraka bake Hakeem badingolu atol membe Njie kan atol men kafuta masaing an atol membe moy kan radio do men siata mo wuli kilinim fendi ben Njie kan online YouTube nim Facebook mba falale ko be men kacha kan sinding wole mu nying chochoti me alon ko wole wuli da Gambia membe dendi Ousainou ning abari musola sein kam mutola police ko ye menke kabintu mo men high court ko se bula be wole kacha kan Hakeem Touray le mu national coordinator di GALA youth movement nga Essa Njie so jang ate mu PhD researcher di political analyst Essa la faka ñini itela sawi itela karola sai Hakeem ye fam fo jang me alon ko ntega mira momo ya alon ko ebe do ko wala mansa kunda kono bi sa ko be tilingo nin to nyala karola fo police kunda lam fo judiciary lem anyanta kala feneti me alon ko imari nyantale sila le ye mira la ako inin police la do ko kono ni la ini ka nyosoto nyame watu wati police kam mem fo wala mu ko nin kiti bu ngoy mem fo al nyanta bara la wala nataje ko itolu kiti bun kilingolu itolu police kilingolu itolu mansa kunda kilingolu mo safo fanko be menke ka wala mo ka kiti bun wala ka so I think that should be a point of reflection for anybody working in the government today. But first, what is your reaction to everything happening? And Infanan, can you try to make sense of what the government is trying to do? Because modol beje many alon ko be Njie kan karala iba jele loko tubabul kaf me ko on goal gomma sakunda be wala keke ngai fongola itara kitiola itata iye mos kitindi sanji fulani mfeng ya kitindi iko almans tumiro senandi no ndenga mira wo ni waketa nyanta mari bulala ta bari kata mari muta ya muta ko molbe sila wo e nyaka si wala. I don't know, what is your reaction to everything happening, and if you can also try to help us make sense of government la strategy muneti ka Ousainou rearrest koteke ka fuko ila faka soro mile tule please.
Abarka bake mfale ngamira akumata bake mkontanta binse sino nganyin ko kacha bari kom ikafanya always in Gambia when a matter is before the courts ita comment nola so mbeka diamu no wala time wala because abe court la no bari bi mfutata ni state alhamdulillah foye Ousainou na bari muso bula se kacha no akola ngamira menketa dorong for me after a total reflection it's what I would call a self-inflicted legal embarrassment on the part of the government. Mansakunda tatale yen kabri ko nyum faro keta yen mola me alonko from the onset akoita mo jama mako nying is very innocent because mo me alonko sondo mo be bala ifato bala ni la mo story nyina from the start ni la mo yala ni man ni nafikia teto hasidia teto e ka conclude le ko nying is not possible because the question is Ousainou be men interest la sotola pour kata ka police fula itara lori
sorry mantra ka Essa moy
mantra moy kam ndol ba moy kan loud and clear do ibente moy kan de bang Hakeem
Yeah, better way connect clearly, but Essa no.
Yeah, we can hear Essa from our end, though. Maybe.
And how about the
if you try
viewers?
to
Can they hear me?
come back in?
The viewers, can they hear me?
Okay, yeah, let me do that.
Okay,
Yes.
so it ni momo la mo story nyina because Ousainou Bojang interest lo sotala kata kanyum police officer fulal fa like muneba bulala wala at that stage. You understand me? So ndaduna wal beto but in yela mo story ni bede fonkalo nako this man is just innocent. But Mansakunda went ahead, prosecute and all that, and everybody accepted ko. Luale mo ning Mansakunda suspect mola is asamono kiti right? So babula la luale. But I mean, men not okay, and more than expect ko this man will be freed. I was following this case keenly. Okay, especially testimony in time when I saw from Mansakunda from Sedol, because I was very much interested in that part. Ngalo nako defense witness old Melbina, wolu be memfala. Obviously, it is going to be ko itolia melonje wolem ko Ousainou manyin ketola long. But Mansakunda la witness old men samala nande al nako inconsistent story better rajene. Wakoita malenu, and that's why I was keenly following from that lady nying. You know, Mayor Alonko is all over now. I don't even want to mention the name. To all the other witnesses, even it will eyewitness or many Alonko being on the ground. I was following all of them. And study kafo nyame fan kalonko nyinto nyate nyinkona. So Mansakunda I untel sobitale ko ibe even to the president nte fon sobitale ko president of fanga ko etama naye tilinganing alatema afanga ba fle nako Ousainou nyufa. So we've seen all that. So the outcome is not surprising to a lot of people, okay, including those in government. If somebody so kabera keta wala na konde amele ko ye prepare ko we are going to immediately file an appeal because Nying is not going in our favor. And I think this is just to pause here a bit. Nying is bad for Mansakunda. What is state capital case loosely, and that is why recently when you see we can sign the ko. EFS, the Edward Francis Small Center for Rights and Justice, is calling for the resignation of Dawda Jallow and the IGP. In a serious country, Dawda Jallow should not be justice minister because he has consistently shown that he is outrightly incompetent. Amala doku along. Ite keba bako be justice minister ko ile luale karang. Ibe justice minister ala watu Mansakunda katula tala court. Ikatule embarrass le ka case loose. Anu menka ke wole mukon. It's embarrassment upon embarrassment. Right now, we have seen, in fact, not double but triple embarrassment. It had a luato, a loose the case la, womumalolti. Imutra kotenge that expatriate motion file me alonko is even illegal in the first place. Another malo, it a keba baka to eko luale karang, it lebe malarin bankola tilimo bundala. Imutra kotenge, inate muri fangola who own words all kang. Even bulakan ye bula simply because preso le beje because I can tell you fally nim preso mansoro wallahi Ousainou anala sister hanisa betara mal tule so yala kam meyitandi e Mansakunda fonka molle fon nyaadum leke fon kumo feandi akam dala keba ni be suwokono alfa ko suutiyo e be ka kumo fo e ka bay because ni aka do la ko rewol nyaaka duilale e ka dira ko nyinka diamu le do ka fenke so Mansakunda me an ko be mararim bankola tamandir nyala e kanyin sifa le ka bori nyulale because not only ko man preso ad new kan then Ousainou come ngafa nyama na la sister B suto e bela la mile tule and that is going to continue ni moment trafem foka but because ya jele mol and serious about it in other so the other part you can meninka luala bunyala karola B nimemma long and I've signaled this since last year or 2 years ago. I can say ko Gambia not only Africa, but dunia kona hani America banko kanjang. Mol kamen kacha scholars ol kamen kacha wolem ko democratic backsliding. Okay.
Wolem ko kamen mbese kan koma la democracy la karola.
Mol muru koma democracy la karola. A country melialon ko ka transition. Nim tubabo lialem bang in the global north, in the global south, scholarly materials or research is pointing ko a lot of countries are backsliding. Wolling ibe murukan autocracy konole. And ya Gambia GBB, kombia jamela time they foko okay fair trial because sotono mercy na the judges all be caring, you know, need a court, judges all be convicted and all that. Okay, but out of sign not do nyindo kono. Me anon konkoko okay judicial independence, right? In court. Now for me, member can say wole fongo jawiata than jamela time. Because Jamila time, ninta pita kan konte Essa mbalo na ko nyuwa kanyi se don deal. Mbenna man prepare la ko iben soron nale. But saying yeta da foi jiko domandin soto. Ko okay ninta da ko mbe fair trial soto lale. Mbe jikirin kon se fair trial soto nole. So ngata ngo fair trial soto. Kiti bungo e kunduroke. Ko nyina nyanta kela. Man sakunda e balan ute nola je ko symbole be bunu. Wala jawyada. Akam dal doron ko yeke sutiyati. Okay, eko suti dole be korda kono non ate buka son dinningo le findi bari suti dol na rata ka son dinningo le findi bani dinningo finda ke li pale so jumale jawyata me yalon ka fo dinno kal findi bari ni findi tan ni boda findi tan no ke li pale so membe ke ka wole muko man sakunda kat anu nyman ka sinya foloti na remember nena freda wala
Essa, sorry to interject like that, but your point killing for that I really want to come back on janim binyina lala. Wole mu the fact that state tata kitiola imanganye osotonoje and nkoya fanyameng we are seeing a trend mbaje kan ko case jamalel beje especially in case bal men yalon ko man sakunda ka tu fole la wato wati all the time. You know, I don't even want to mention sana manjan na case fanambari mol men yalon ko la cross ro futa deje ibe silari ko be futa la nyintembole fanando because of how ko bebe keka nyame. But anyway, wo mu kule me alon ko malafika du ko no bi. But it lafake nyininga menna. Muna atina maje government to hold the Attorney General to account, Analyst State Prosecutor, the Director of Public Prosecution. Wolel tata yemo samba kito la sanje fula nimfeng. And then the judge came with up to 6 or more reason muna atina akobankola molman tumiro senandino. So ngaje ko mawo molo kontibo bankola loyal, but instead iko ikata bantambili kiti tema. So la fakeni ngame, what do you think the government was trying to do? Kafoko ebe Ousainou na la sister arrestele. Because I'm trying to understand.
I was going to get to that.
About neko, this was going to be the likely outcome. Near Ousainou arrest molbe findilale. Near Ousainou arrest molbe balambait and dokela. But what were they trying to do? What were they trying to achieve with this decision?
So I was going to reach to that because I think you asked that question kind of indirectly, right? So coming out from Nyameng, this is not the first time we've seen Nene Freda Walla case Jang court order dita Ibalandaka implement. We have seen before Alaji Bora, I think it was Pamodu, Alaji Bora to be compensated. Imanson Kake, Alaji Bora hani bi ala mobile police olbul. And court ya follow ko alala mobile sendama ye bankake. Pamodu to be compensated, Imanson Kake. Abdullah Sanyang was also acquitted and discharged here, Mammy. It had a current appeal file. But come your appeal file, you let bail deal. You applicable ala kodi. But Ousainou, why is it different? That's the $1 million question now. Apply ta ye appeal file, but ye bail kele yabula. Imanson carry arrest. But this time around, Ousainou is the same thing. Menketa, ya tefanang Analyst sister, ya appeal file, which is within the rights of the state to say, we are not happy with the judgment and we want to file an appeal, which they did. Shamelessly though, because they have no other option but to do that, and everybody expected that to happen, right? So yeah, okay. But Ousainou Bula, especially Meng Dimina Warataje Wolemuko, a court order was already executed, right? It had a mile to you find a mile to kono, meaning the court order was executed. All the processes were followed and completed, and we had, sorry for my language, but we had this animal standing in the front of the mile 2 prison, central prison. Now, state member, it might be difficult for us to specifically pinpoint ko minatin ne benin kekan, but ndela hakilo mendina wolem ko ninke batata maluta wato da kaka mate olti. Okay, maltale mbakela ne mendiata nyembole kala mota kuno laje. And imam, okay, maybe fanang imam may expect ko nyimbe futala nyi level dole. Because niya jibe, okay, let me go back to just briefly ngaburu Bob Ketala case kan. Niya remember, wo case nyin kabirabe on public attention was fenkat siata bakelo nung. And people, if you remember, people were coming out to even attend the court case, right? So yalon na ko mo gina interest nale, and everybody was going to come and Ninkombe misbehave in that case, it was going to turn ugly. But Ousainou probably, even though maybe more katara online and more diam, but near Jibe, I think it was only Omar Malmo Sambu Me Alonko was keenly following that case abe diamu kangala from the start for B. So probably itola miraroto more man case nyinta very seriously, so we can go and arrest this man and nothing is going to happen because more attention o mantraka. But not knowing ko more beluale bunyata. Coming Hakeem memfo. And I'm going to back to that point. Well, ko eko nyurubeka lua bunya wato wati. So say ite fango because nyem police will daldale ka lua tinya. Mbeka ojele. They have been doing that consistently. Yeta yefuta. In fact, even in the purka tiagas from fay molkan. You know, proposal nyanta taraje in terms of racist. But ikajele nyurukata protest dula fango to arrest. Simple arrest. Ni nata yokonye ko Essa imanyana kataraja. It's very simple. Muta yang arrest yang bulandi moto la ngata. But ntamenge ibe mol sekala, ibe faila moto kono, ibe pusla. Sorry for my language again, but camera ko beangol wolle kamateng. Me anongo people in uniform. Ito lenyanda control protect. Wolle kamateng ko manka hanama dingo fonti. They are just animals. Now you went to Brufut ya futa gedron bamye tiaga sofai. What exactly are you trying to achieve? Kawiye yakola. So mansakunda ka menke wolem ko, they're just embarrassing themselves time upon time. What itata kitiela. So you can menge do ambakela le kute no la je thinking ko Gambia at some point it be carry out. But also the other possible reason me ane benyim be keka. Killing it all long because ngajele Njie dabola lawyer Njie dabola statement nga read le kunu. Kabla interview ke. Now kunun ko lang I guess. Ako yalon ne menketa nyin kono. During the trial inata ka find out le yalon ne ko some of those sedejarol those eyewitnesses wolle fangol ni police olfa. Ama moto for specifically but in mol fanana miralo nta fala jumal le mu bari mol la miralo e mel dila mol be jale specifically e mel men fenka mira eyewitness ol kono mel yalon ko wolle nyinke. Now
but Essa, we have to point at this stage will be more speculation. Let it not.
No, kanale. I'm just coming. Alon ne kono spe wala nan konta fono la mol la miralo e fenel dila. And loyal in info. Me alon katele be in case kono for the accused persons, right? And
yeah.
the accused person.
I think that makes it pretty significant, though.
Thank you. What significant?
I mean, Njie Dabo himself.
Not only any ordinary person in the blue, we will not maybe take it serious, but it's coming from the lawyer himself. So when mate and the Wolemko, Nyimansa Kunda Yalon Neko, probably they have an idea because from the start of this case, Wulia upon Wulia, Ousainou was working at BAC, which was a lie. Or Ousainou was a rebel in the MFDC. Which was another lie. I mean, he was part of Yankuba Dabola court case, which was another lie. Lies upon lies were fabricated just to make sure that Kai Momuta, because more lefata, Yanako la family Benin Karola Jumale na Molfa. Now you just have to make sure ye Momuta, me anonko ba kango la yeta ya sorom wala yafa at the end of the day. Not anonko death sentence because there's a moratorium. But so it actually lose how belale. But it's saying puruka point proof to the public. We are still in trans wala na near justice ministry la this so-called whatever the press release member thing about the appeal. Near part of it they were mentioning they have a duty. The state has a responsibility victims of justice yasafi la Carola. Something like that. So it all even ke kan bro wonu ki polling ke fran cover. It is backfiring. It is backfiring. But
yes, in the sense that you want justice for the victims, but you are doing it in an unjust manner.
Doing it in an unjust manner. But just let me complete this. Just a point. Justice Minister Biniaje Dauda Jallo and the lawyers for state prosecutors are not even being held to account. We have a leadership in Banjul that is outrightly incompetent. That's the bottom line. In a serious country with a competent leader, just because Barrow is incompetent, but if a competent leader is in, Dauda Jallo should not be still Sama Mainakatra Minister, because he has shown to people that he's incompetent. He cannot do his job. He's deputy director of public prosecution is equally incompetent. All those people at the Ministry of Justice, they were responsible for this case. They were incompetent. I just want to point out one evidence during the trial. Shows we have a very sad country. During the trial, in fact, before the trial, Ousainou before the trial, I am reliably informed itatale nung in fact I was because nga kalam kabide ko itatale nung ya test Ousainou la amankum jani kana court but you see that incompetence they still went to court with same samato pour ka dum Ousainou la mais han tonko le fo man tambino wala na ni man tara tonya kan ala ke wanyarle but again we go back to that last point be men fala balal doron the issue of democracy in the democracy be and in the justice system. I always tell people for me you see, judiciary is a very important or critical element of democracy. Judicial independence is important. Freedom of expression is even better than judicial independence because nimol tata foy dewunta ke nyatiling kiti bungolela ke nyatiling tilingo bundal so nimol tata foy lose the hope la woto mansakunda ka court ka order di mansakunda ka balankake that shows that there is no judicial independence in the Gambia and that is a threat to democracy. Gambia no femanya na ke wori femanya na ke sila bi mentamita kiti bungol ka kiti odi ka kiti kundu mansakunda ka balay ka fa kon denyinkela wo is an outright threat, an absolute threat to democracy me alon ko nyanta ka jibe kuken.
Baraka bake Essa Njie mbaringolu alnim bitulo matol membe moy ka radio to Gambia banko kan album moy kan Vibes FM le 106.1 FM atol membe jibe kan dulal tarinke internet auto alnim bitulo le mu atol membe jibe ka YouTube, Facebook ani Instagram ba flale ko membe kacha kanjam wole mu Ousainou Bojang la mutoti ani chocho ni fitno men nata wulu wo ko nyin kono ning Essa Njie PhD researcher ani Hakeem Touray le bejang Hakeem le munasaro coordinator di GALA. Hakeem la fake nyininga menna as far as GALA is concerned silang atolu what are the next steps for you? Albe ko lo la jenne Simon Ousainou Batabang, or do you have plans to engage the government more? Kaje ko tumando bato nyong kusifal kana saying kanke o fofana molbe jele men be mutarimbang kabo bi mama kono bang what is the current state of the affairs right now? And what next steps are there for the GALA movement?
Yeah, thank you so much. Amira bikai being tension or data during no. Unfortunately, yeah, Amira Monani. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Monani la arrest nung inate samba Ghana Town PIU station at Ghana Town. Yeah, Monani la arrest nung samba water, and they've been there for a few hours. But being Ousainou for that so some of us among the fong mantra no ikono, but some comrades went there. Yeah, negotiation of Yenata will release unconditionally. But natara nung iya wal muta nung ani bi wali laje, then we can say ko Ousainou le natare but na finto ni woman dang. To hani sama fana fonga finti na wala bulo fana kumandi. But thank God iya wal bulale bi. So what we can just say, wala mo pansakunda dala kita nyawa nyantol we will have a press conference. Fonga kibaro dila and come ya for nyaming in sifa dal inyanta iya bori wala bake because coming be Mr. Essa la moy kang ay kumado foja wo o dal ning na banko wo condition to ngamira banko dingol nyanta ka silale because the judiciary wala mu pundate mi yalon ko do bandi masakunda be nyante jigola la kang puru iya kiti o temul tema tilingo kang atre mamu fasa manlum imalla mo kang. They had to be completely independent. But ning ibe banko economy yalon ko ifang wala jiberoto hanning atre bika jero ke barela moiroto anni walela jiberoto ifang yalon ko hanin to la judiciary system fang is not independent because it's a kumo for no le bi kama sakunda Njie kama sakunda afa yatekela. So it's like we do not even have a judiciary system in the country. That is scary and it's so sad. A country without no independent judiciary is sad. It's a sad nation. And ngamira amanyang kela GALA damala amba kunto dunoti wonya nyinyanta kela banku dingo bele la kunto dunoti ka make so na masakunda nga kibaro kiye mi yalon ka be senare ne set ka tandila ko banko la judiciary system o yabula I free completely because Mr. Essa kumat kangol fojana mi yalon ko ay hakilo bulandi nyimanga sinya follow bira ko nyimanga sinya follow ta hakilo bulandi nene freda wala case Pamodu Bojang Alhaji Bora, all those people caught your order min bedi for all those monies we given to them. Hanistine, I can hear from Lumos or Hanisa may receive some of their articles are still with the police. So it's like nyimanga sinya follow di puru puru na judiciary system ya for court ya for Njie ke mansakunda ilo iko atekela nung kubika bo anodo. Namela nyinda malo sinya follow di ming mol funtita ya tandi Masakunda la ko kote minfo wole be lola no wole Masakunda pin puri nata ila mind change nata je ko kote minfo to batunga wakili wala. So Gala manta danna Ousainou la bulo la commander da mala. Obviously before the week ends, the press conference to the media long kombe kujima balle capture je na diata ale. Media will be duly, informed, inshallah. Yeah.
Essa, I want to come back to you. Coming Hakeem, I think I agree with you, Ko. Our last line of defense right now, it looks like, is the judiciary. Because the police all many along you will think that their primary job is the
Hakeem became my guest.
Okay, maybe Hakeem, you can try to do the same thing again. Lafa fala lako nsonde ila miro la lako in terms of na democracy kanto la karola nin kantar la labanu bije bi ngamera wol mun na judiciary na tilingo bunda. Because I think it's pretty refreshing that mol kata kiti bungodo e ka kiti te sotoko banko la mol yetu mi menna ma senandino andun ike bula okang. I think that's it's unfortunate, but it also gives people hope that afuta nyanya banko la karola mbitakan dulato. But ila fake nyininka mena Essa nying chocholo men beke ka membe den Ousainou la kola teng ani other issues many alon ko katu kela ni wati botala katu nyintem foloti nyin kusi fal katu kelale chocholi yeke mole finti ni police ole dunyola ngaje government would back down at the end of the day, which begs the question, why do you have to do it in the first place? But la fake nyininka mem fangola based on ite la cross road yamuta la ko nyin se wajabi no la yele ma ay ko ku tanti bang fo ya mira ko nyin abeden na nyin chocho kanyandi wala nga menje membe den Ousainou la kola mbe nyin ka nyin na bearing in mind that mbe politics sango kono adim fanan kolbe message ari na nyin temmen. What is your reading into that?
Yeah, comme ya fa nyameng man sakuna nyanta ka bori kuodola ya jele comme ngamem fodoro ngadi from the onset ike kungo fandile mibe man sakunda as a government ibaka song banko dingol nyaayo dula. What I mean by that is ika kuke me alonko ani lua bekata, because first itele nyanta kela the custodian of the law. When I niya ko 3 arms of government, legislature memu deputy bungoto wala ka lual dida. Okay, judiciary ka interpret loi betenne anyanta kela tenne, then man sako executive la job movement la responsibility wala ka implement ka enforce. That's it. Ila job mu walti. But ni nata jibe men ka ke Gambia wala mu control la executive la fon ka loi tinya. Parliament kata le loi dida, judiciary I interpret, executive instead of enforcing the law ya muta ya tinya. So niyo ke ikat banku dingol nyadundila andi ke hanyindila le. Mafoko banko dingol nyanta sila la mansa kundala. But ika hanyina le in the sense that ikalon na kombe lua ntol be silo le kang andu mansa kunda mantara silo kang. So akamenke ultimately, because banko dingol mang any other choice sort of, but ika finti kila balamba ya itandi. Andu ni ajibe fali revolution ka start tenne in most cases. Nimol tata ye push to the corner, ye push to the wall, imale be menkela. E ka menke dono wolen ka finti pour ka je ko e kala bam men fon ko man la wolen ko man sa kunda boje ngajele ana manke revolution fongoti, but even election aka man sa kunda cost election nale. What happened in neighboring Senegal mbe nyaajele Senegal la isu ketatenne ibe sonko arrest la, especially politically motivated charges. Government should be very careful with that, as especially mbe move can towards election. And yet Ousainou la Njie, look, there is political motivation behind this. Because Kabria accused he was working at Brikama Area Council. Yeah, accused he was at the Fenkacom, how do you call it, the chairman Yankuba Dabola Fenkoto. And some of Matsakundala model Beje, came like a UDP, they tried to bring UDP into this, as if UDP like Benin Koma and all that, not right? Just to tarnish the image of the party. Will be a main point this probably one could say it's politically motivated or politically charged, right? So one thing that may alonko among better secondary, especially towards election. Ngaje wole keta Senegal, politically motivated charges against Sonko. Iba fole ko abula, ita sonna abula la, akabita juma salola ye kunta nyata tata juma salola wo unnecessary attention we could will create nan wole ka mol kamfande aka mol rally behind those individuals, and ultimately the opposition also can easily appeal to the electorates on these issues. So tilimbali ale be caring alinga deng ngani mansakunda bondi, people come together hanata nunko wuli in an uprising, but they can come together and vote against that government. We have seen Mama Kande visiting these people, right? We have seen Essa issue a statement. We have seen Gambia Action Party issue a statement. So politicians will sometimes, especially the opposition, sometimes can also take opportunity opportunity to just appeal to the electorate. Not necessarily being selfish, but and better Gambia democracy to not only democracy but the stability of the country. Wati sufu ni finto keta. Poliso ka menke wala ka nyapi modu kan melialon ko ila haji mantra protest fondo. Imagine those hardworking women melialon ko be siri be wafirola. Yena do futa drong yeti aga so fay. Pa ke bari ngo melan ka be siri ngala bundato. Amamma kula kuma mala yeti aga so fay. We saw in Mandina Ring a video, I remember it was published on Kerfatu. Imagine. Almamo ko ata fongola talibo be siringa be ata tabola inata ye talibo nyumute kai findi by force ya sam. Nyul fo be ngol le muti bam fo mu le muti ndama understand. Ika manya di lete kebab ite ko ite ka mole protect. Ika na puruka simply puruka or in fact an illegal order in the first place. Munati nite fo nyanta ko obey in the first place as a serious a professional security officer. But Nimbeka main point where there's a failure in our so-called security sector reform. May September 2017, Mansakunda meta donkilla. What ya baby mole fenkabali Bamba training organizer, workshop organizer, validation workshops, validating policy documents around security sector reform. But if instilling values and standards and principles in our security officers, professionalizing them, subjecting them to civilian control, management, and accountability. Nyinka me yitandi wolem ko, nyinka be kontinela. Mansakunda ko be kontinela ni trend na. Puruka tilimbali ya sama banko dingole kan. Ka court order violate, especially court order. Ya get the message men sell wolem ko. Court order now violated now that people can come out. And the Mansakunda will be pressured to act. Because even if I press release from the Minister of Justice. Did you hear them mention the ex parte motion? They may mention that we are appealing, but nobody is interested in that appeal because Hakeem, that appeal is within their right. Nobody objected to that. By more than ex parte motion, it is on so this is bad for them politically.
Essa, I will come to the broader implication of that coming. Why would the government do something like this in an election year? Knowing that, the stakes are a lot higher, court order violate. But Hakeem, Essa a point killing for young, which is police ulumanya, nim protest be carry, wala nim balambait and be carry. GALA has been at the forefront of most of these protests. Many alonko they've been happening recently. Coming in Balambait and Dolmenkake, atolu ning polisolu almedale kamanyola. Kujamala kabiring tajirinte ala karola, karin tirimbali ala karola, tapalaya tumiro karola, nanyum fancy fa korengol. So lafake nyininga mena itala miroro. Based on Njie Brufut bi nakachanga dati woleto. Ya satele ko birina re mammo kesem mammo bomoro. Yeti agato mutala ke fay mo marché wol kono musul peje fo dena ano me alon ko be kar worole la bangala na la bal loptano la fekke nyin ka menna itala miroto yamiran se nyim banno nyaadile. How can we stop police learning heavy handedness nin ku keta e ka ko lan na tambito ke if you can nisa fo mo le miro menti woto
police la odal ngamira nga aleten to bayring hanning mini bikataran fe bengo nyinto by looking at the different kalon ko police katarado bije ikamol handle nyame wala ikamol approach nyame is definitely inappropriate among anisi do bukata fereng hani tolfo ngane ni fo mum multimedia lan ko setale sita e ina jibe aning ila diamu nyamol kan wala ikamol handle nyame ni be arrest la Kechika kedundi pick up and all that. Ngalon the need all from sita genuinely. Yeah, videos GB from Banako. This is not how things should be done. You know, we could do better. But malala ika wo fanake because tumando nika woki be from mako ilale. So like I said, kujamale bije mi yalonko ngalonko mansa kunda bika ke nyame police of na bika ke wala nyama. Because do bije kamurung koma ye imanya jibe ake karandila puru next time you do better. You understand? But ning always need another nang falindiri bika taraje because B koni nata nyindule be action okela wo was clear to everybody because ni dalta nyolale ika ketentine eni neneta bulala. You understand? Ninko ineneta bulala no fon wala ngaje ko walanko kuti je min sekeno min be nyin kusi fast stop la as far as nga nyimmo killing wala sort of uniform ko no o seke jiklate ndiroti but tonya looking at these people malala ning atra tonya ka karam because kuti ma balle tambita ni nata security la fanna la jang. You understand? Never again will not again we were like okay saying a police or mean sort of even though we almost have the same men in uniform but in Kajako it karanta minketa nunkunung they will not like the same thing to continue happening again. You understand? Karanta kununale so tomorrow ni karanta kununa ila sama nyanta ka fesiale domonding but ning same minje kang kajele ko as if nitol min be sita nga kunu jibe ya barol min ka kunu na dol karanta la nga expect ko dol fana karanta la is library tol ya jibe olla ya to lari wolte wulte la hajo le kon do ya man kun soton dol falindi te jang mo continue la nga to da min san ka ci ka woldo and the mantraje kan ko nyinu be nyin falindale mantraje kan ko min ibe falindano unless coming Mr. Essa for the security sector reform in 2017 iba ku fokang millions have been mentioned pa do modale fa keta nyadile moma long woko keta nyami workshop organized sometimes if you look at how they behave you wonder if the same people ke sama workshop are the same people that are still in the uniforms. It is sad looking at this police ya ko okay idol ka bango fanda fango bango kanjanne etala bantala banko to training la almost 2 months wala 3 months ko ke train on human rights and democracy and all that ni murundanang it looks as if they've not learned anything from that training. It is sad. So it is as if they are just wasting our resources and our taxpayers money. I understand because these people little more let me alonko dolle be ibalundi kang dolle be jo kang dolle ke feto fada puri and dol tanka. I understand. Even more feto fada kang even more balundi kang even more take care kang handing asasa at the lopano do itala jo itala kudo ko ta yate jara. At the end of the day, the only thing you expect from that person is to take care of your life and your property. But unfortunately, that is not what we are having from them. So, Nindal Ngamra security sector reform, Ning wo keta no, which I am not even expecting it from this current system, to be honest. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not expecting it from this current system. It is so weak and very careless to focus on that. They care less about the security sector. To them, the security sector is perfect like this, which is a shame, to be honest. Yeah.
Essa, what do you think the government can do to make this right, if it is possible at all?
There is nothing. I mean, men can all ko court your order di ko annual bula. I mean, altata aliye arrest, in mile 2 ke muda korenke case. But the man from Florida, police headquarters. It is already bad for the government because I made it and the consistently. You understand? A court order level, so at the end of the day, I mean, question of more can mean ka wolemoko. And it comes back to your question, especially in an election year. So, I mean, unfortunately, though, we just have to accept the reality. Gambia no la, sorry for my language, no disrespect, but Gambia no la political fahamunya, especially the broader implications of some of these actions from the government on our democracy, our peace and stability. Amawara fahamno nyine doyata. Bi model betara nyim fenka kam ning election sita kotenke iba mira ko nyin kodol nana men fam. It's a nyina ka ketale fam. And they will still go and vote for the same government Mayor Alonko has been consistently violating their right. And finally, I'm on record. I want to give this warning. Well, whether I'll call it a warning or what, I'm on record. Barrow for another 5 years will be disaster in the Gambia in terms of human rights and democracy. Because the man has tested the waters. No, I'm very serious. Tested the waters and ala strength lonne, ala weakness lonne, ala strength bedam wononko okay mol kanale ye finti yes. You know, it nil after men na kodol men na rek ya di la do yet ya gasol fay kan and that's it. Watara million ko mantora ta wol mantora ta kuta bola je kotenke because na ba nyama nyul bel be kam mantora. There should be justice for them. In fact, moli million ko be siri be wafirola ke baron be siri ngala bundato. Will be justice this afternoon? Why would the police come? So at the end of the day, the ball is in the court of Gambians. Gambian ole be nyabe nyina. In 2017, I think thereabout, Faraba incident, people were killed there. Yena kotenke Mandina ring, okay? The boy was brutally murdered. Let me put it that way. Yena kotenke Ousainou Bojang na nyin case. And in other incidents me anonko mansakunda ka findika tilimbalia mola. I mean, even GALA Kono, you look at the likes of Omar Saibo and others, on numerous occasions, Sikamutale Tilimbalia, ye Barama, ye Kulkela, ye Lipa, and everything, Fembikana Boje. So Gambiano Lenya Benina. Gambiano Dolbe Jangan, the Wolte, Ning election of Sitafang, Wolte Mira la Konin Sif Albekirin Nefang. In fact, some of them are not even bothered Konin Bekirin. Okay? But it's not good for the government also because it can more come from the Kamamo killing. And Gambia election or come and be alone yamming is simple majority. Be ni more than comfort kama more 20 comfort kama. It's not good for the political. The Ousainou, another family and anybody close to Ousainou will be able to comfort in Mansakunda kama. Is it good for you politically or electorally? It is bad for you. So Mansakunda mess up tele. I think from now and in a serious country coming out for Nyaming. Nim iman Dauda Jallo bay. Dauda Jallo nata nunko mole mat. Ntemeta nyim falele. I've said this even in Gambia before I came here. Ko. Nim Dauda Jallo is a human being, a person of consent. A moral compass sort of. He should not be in this position. In a serious country, if I'm resigned in protest, the DPP resigned in protest. But if you did a bad job as a justice minister, as incompetent as he is, the IGP as incompetent as he is, you know, the CJ, let's not forget about the Chief Justice Fali. People, yala more sometimes, ning Gambia kuoketa, nga more than the GBA fanga. But in the justice system, Chief Justice Abole Bulokono. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not so munatin as a futano mintola, not better than mintole. But all these things are happening. You know, Chief Justice la role la responsibility to purka jeko. Gambia mansakunda kalwa bunya. Ajali, come ngafanya in a serious country, all these people would have resigned. Because ni mansakunda kasika blatantly kalwa violate in a broad daylight. From the Chief Justice to Justice Minister to anybody else, you are concerned you have at least morals, compass, ibeka resign. But this is Gambia for you, Mayor Alonko. People in government don't care about what is in the interest of the public. It only came mira menela poso ani bonya. It came mira wadamala. At the end of the day, it is the ordinary people that suffer. And finally, another point that I want to make. Mayor Alonko Gambian also haklo to wato bake. Fuarol batata Gambia. Wallahi, nim Ousainou Bojang from an affluent family. Akoita mako at a futala. But it be kasile ye fuarol muta ye. They become victims of the injustice in that country. Most of the family le kono now dunda problem kono moto lo lai. Mo jamale be lari mile to prison B. Il a trial, il a cases all man continue no simply because fenne table. Imambo affluent family le kono. Okay, so fuarol batata Gambia be niajem Ousainou nyimbe kelala partly because about a family mem fan kono. No, fuarol nyanta sai nyanta low the masses, nyanta low faye ya jako tilimbali yale be caring towards them, and danyanta kilala. And son is an opportunity. I don't shy away from saying this, and I'm on record. I'm saying this. Ning mempareta, you can label me. That's your problem. I've been labeled. I don't care. This government.
Somebody.
No. I will say it. I don't care. You see, no way.
Okay. So,
thank you very much. No, you cannot interrupt me there. I will say this. Before being a political
I wanted to bring in.
You cannot stop me from saying.
Okay. Make your point. Okay.
Before being a political analyst, I'm a citizen in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I have a responsibility. I have a duty towards my country and the people of my country. Nyimmansa Kunda should go in December. They have no reason, absolutely no reason. Gambians have no justification. Can Nyimmansa Kunda in December 2026? One, they have shown to be incompetent. before everybody. They have shown they don't care about fundamental rights and freedoms. They have shown they don't care about our democracy. They have shown all that they care about is their pocket, and that's it. Thank you.
Barigolu hanibi kala hakilo ndoron ko alni bitilo lemu alal bari malum falli fadera APS International wonel bulobe na bitilo kibaro ko jang nalla fa kudo ki kata Gambia ala se mona fang APS albe da dunia kono ala ko de kinya tariata adadiata andum fana Gambia no lel tamu alinge fasa isaje fengo fen dunda jiya be la banko le kam so ngamen so de jamen kafutam wole mu honorable Mbayti honorable Lamin Bay telemu nung principal magistrate num Banjul Magistrate Court bawo mbe luwani tilingo kole fokam mamira mse mo soto même qualified ta kanyin kamako nyin kacharo men tambita tela honorable Ikoma Jang ngala ndoko bella moy kananung while you are trying to get on here Essa ning Hakeem ye memfo wala muko min ku beje bitilo la kol kata nyamen mo safo no le ko judiciary right now is the last line of defense for Gambia nin ku beje na kunta mantafu nim molu walita luwa koto nim moltara fo jikala teta ike jiko sembe banko tilingo bundala la andum beson nga menje mbe jiko soto kanne mbe kirite lal soto kanne men yalon ko mo safo fanko e kallo to nyaale kan ka kirito ke buka mo nyako no jibeje bari la fake nyinin ka menna first nin kusi fal keta for example probably you experience sotele ye doko ke Minister of Justice or maybe ye experience sota kodole nin kusi fal keta bankola molu ifota case la and especially under the current circumstances nga menje ko akatu kelale nyindem follow the nyindem flanyote very high profile cases many alonko they are of interest to the public ikatu folala ibuka how do they hold these state prosecutors the deputy director of public prosecution and the attorney general account how do you hold them to account
bila la moy lal kontona ni la jiber lal aning bilbe radio to Gambia ning dunia dauda actually min keta kunu ngimbite ma ainte fango surprise bakele be pare lafta kukeling point la mamera attorney general mamera nung he was directly involved with min keta nung kunu coming bring court ye acquitted ay discharge fa pareta pour yeta ye arrest koteke ko attorney general Dauda Jallow was personally involved pour ka fu police le no alkane bula o altali muta koteke mamera abe involved la wala Dauda was a defense Dauda was a defense lawyer and all man pare mola name implicated la directly but ning Mole diamuta fanang on this while nying bebe ke kan kunu nimbi tema bi somanda juno ya ate fango mang way wole fonye directly ko Dauda ma wo order sifa di wo order mambo Dauda bulo kono ko ali tale policeol order ko ye nyul muta kote ke o ye muta da me kane bula because womu contempt of court leti court ye order ke ko nyul contempt of court volume court la order ye wole disobey court ye nyul bulale court ye acquit ye discharge ila trial nying ye discharge le fa parete ye muta kote ke ye contempt of court leke as long as he may charge for any other offense la kote ke he may charge offense do la komi ye crime do le commit imam fen do commit the only reason ye muta minna is court ye bulale itata police ye muta kote ke imanya na wakela wumu contempt of court bijele or disobedience of executive order court la order judiciary la order imanya na disobey la police manya na disobey la because near police jibe police they are under the judiciary police teta la fala sembo e tambi judicial officer la coming a high court judge so ni a high court judge ye order ming set coming ye nyulu bula police manya ni mutala num kote te mi en surprise fango Ministry of Justice your opinion on ming safe wo opinion on moma long follow as of right now maybe journalists will ba find out no la nyato why jumale wo opinion on safe jumale wo opinion on safe coming itata ye motion on le file in court expert motion mi alonko ibe case nying appeal lale o Usman nyanta mutalale on detention for janding appeal obe wulila wo procedure be yeminke amang normal procedure ti fang mi yalon ko Ministry of Justice nyanta tamala wole nyama imang normal procedure normal je walati nan ko maybe journalist la nyinin karol ni la own investigation e ba lon nale mune nyin kol be samba fa garawta kabo kunun fobi abe level min tote you know.
So the other thing for an lafa ke nyinin ka menna high court le kitio te nyin quarter kitio be nun wole bulu justice jete la kiti mokono. Is there something that the high court can do now that coming yala council so te nyaming? Is there something, do we expect any consequences to come out of this as a result? What can the high
Niaji be defense la lawyer nying Lamin Dabo senior counsel Lamin Dabo yo fole diamo kono kunu bring journalist wol ya nyininka journalist wol ya nyininka le be pare bi Ousainou nala sister itata Dabo la office le be je fana nga jele nga zom video jele journalist wol ye Dabo nyininka high court wote wuli la ye wuli dorong high court ye kuke high court for ye motion le samanang lawyer le bita ay fen samba high court jojo e wuli ala office ye file ye le fenne be tarla jojo nyati li wala be atla minkan bari coming ñuli ye ñing police le actiono minke ye Ousainou nala system muta kote ke foye samba kote ke prison ye nate ye bula kote ke wo actiono wo keta le fa pareta be pare jojo sign ka fo jete ate wuli la ay any order pass a faye without momang feng samanang a nyati li wala fo loyal ye feng samanang a nyati li wala moson weda be kala expert le di fo nyadi na a nyati ni wat ka tanda la ko ay order min pass fo police yo order violate police nyanta na la court le ya faye munati na yo order nyim violate because ay bail dilale ikoy be case appeal lale bari appeal ma nyenati na la ko accuse passing momi ya tuma inyanta mutalele ma nyena wokela ka foko ye appeal leke wo manke ground so biri yo fo jete nyati li wala jete koy ko okay mambalang aliye muta but this is the condition bail 50,000 for both of them momo 50,000 jete yo conditional deal then police will still man satisfied that ye muta koteke so sign defense lawyer nying wolle bina motion sambala nan court ka nying contempt of court police will ye minketen is a contempt of court yina explain jojo ye munati na wokete bari jojo fangote wulila aya fansung order pass ka fo alien na luare tinya ginebe lalal kan hani
okay. But in a situation like this yafoleko Tumando Bato, the Attorney General, was not in the picture. Where do we put the responsibility and the blame?
Walatina ila diamula dul ngamu iba afoka nungo nyama ko nying ming keta teng usually nying kusifa keta accountability le ka norma accountability mune jumale nying order sifa pass pour kata ka fo police wala ale nyim muta be pare wo opinion of fango ming safeta jumale wo opinion of safe jumale a sign for ya release into the media ya the media houses all will ya publish jumale wo order nying jumale wo safe wo mosono nying safe because we confusion le create more la mind ko Ministry of Justice now they are involved nenu manyinje ko court ye judgment o ke fa pareta Ministry of Justice nata opinion soto on that judgment ka opinion mi yalan ka a bias tale wo opinion o mantiling ito la opinion o ya tandile ko fango jojo manyen na nyulu bulala jojo manyen na nyulu imanyen na free la dal comme kuluwal nyanta lala Usman nala sister kande to la opinion ye wole tan te wo opinion sifa wo buka bo Ministry of Justice man right so ko opinion sifa ke because among any impact soto judgment o ketale case bantale wo file nying biring jojo ye judgment o wo file close tale as far as the trial is concerned or nying police wala far wo file close tale at the high court level wo file na be yele la koteke abi yele la at the court of appeal. Court of appeal will lebe wo file yele la koteke but as far as high court is concerned nying case bantale abanta high court le completely file close tale So now be yele la kote ke kumi nga fu nyame abe yele la at the appeals court of appeal because state ya fule ko ba appeal la yeta file yele woto I continue. But it jete justice jete right now jete wo pareta nyin case balale case is closed. Jete sama ni data ala court Friday abe case dole yele la case is all dole mil bala court abe continue la wolle la nyin dongo ay nyin na judgment o kele atambita nyin na le sa nyimba ko mat amantara nyim mira kam fang Jojo be wararin funa fana aka news la moy abe min jibe ka news to or Facebook or YouTube afana mba jibe la he's a normal person but na man ke woti jete as of today jete pareta nyin case bala bira ay judgment okay ay file nyin close ala klago e file nyin soronde ya be close le sign. So, Ministry of Justice, puriye na your opinion on ming samanang, womang any impact soto at the High Court, womang any impact soto in this case. So it will ilani opinion of fango is politically motivated because ibe mole instigate la rek mole kamfako because police all mil fata ila badingol bijele la ha if ila kafunyol bijele ila sympathize sol mol min balafate wol bijele. So it will let you opinion o wo abe wol empower lale coming katandi wala ko jojo e minke amanyen na okela amanyen na nyulu bulala wo bias ye wole dundi mola mind kono so nyimbe anyanta consequences soto lale either mol be resign lale or be mol bay lale but kunun nga funun ko wo is very difficult Gambia ya moy ko accountability after nyin kusi fal keta accountability bukake in 1 week time mo be nyinata nyina baby tyler do ko lebi nana but minketa thing is very very serious ko justice
Indeed, it's very, very serious. Honorable, I'm going to come back to you in terms of what the next steps should look like for the state, given that they want to appeal the case. But Hakeem, Essa, maybe Hakeem, I will pose this question to you. Essa, if you have an opinion on it, you feel free to come. Hakeem, malam feba mo ikenaba. Lafike nyininga menna wole muko.
Yeah, me kan.
Honorable Yafole ko, probably it looks like based on our information, of course, at BT Lojan Dolmo confirm no, but you know, he's an honorable man. We can take his word for it. Ako, based on our information, Mensoto Wolamuko, Tumando Bato, the Attorney General is not in the picture. Where do you think accountability should be for this? Because this is a huge violation of the law. It's a huge undermining of the judiciary because coming Jumalaya for Nunjam, Ninjumala Benunjam Kunu, Omar Wali, Ako, Hani America Nala America ya, Donald Trump Nala Donald Trump ya. So who should be held accountable? You know, and based on the as a follow-up also, it am the government se muneke no be mense funding ke wolu nim banku dingolu wasano nyin kworo sako atolu gala movement no molmena ko lebe nyim protest ko kono tek.
Baraka bakem falli baru nga domon nim fay wolu nim pareta nga na boss batu ayanja saje bare a jaxalo go warala ning iko ning honorable ko Dauda mang fenkala mutanyinto because he's the attorney general, you understand. Fonin dal dalilo bala mi ya lonko the public will expect him to come out. Tandi molako the government sidelined him when they were taking this decision. Then we will understand that he is not to be blamed. But if Dauda is sitting there comfortably, he has not said a word about this thing, it is definitely going to be difficult purunga Sonko Dauda Mamfenkalamta and he cannot be blamed. The only reason Mina Dauda be blamed is because he has not said a word about this and he's the Attorney General. You understand? Even though I am not Minketa, who all me along Kotilimbalialong, non tajirinte yalafanama manyankake. You as the Attorney General, Imam Femfo woku whatever daring. Handing ikomole for people to understand that you are right. Imam Fenkalam Takuro. But let's say Tonyalo Imam Fenkalam Takuro. But then Ning Amba, what is expected of you? Ning Atara, that is the case. You are expected to come outside and talk to the people. You are expected to do that. You are our Attorney General. So ngamira dal batungada woro ngana boss badu IFM5 woro. But to me, it is baffling to say that Dauda does not know anything about this thing and he is not in the picture.
But Hakeem, not to sound defensive of the government, but you'll be surprised that that is not to exonerate, but it's also speaks of a broader problem menka soto across government, like collaboration ning cooperation buka soto different government agencies that maolte maning kolbe kekang. But I take your point. Essa, what is your reaction in terms of who should be held to account? Because this is a very, very serious matter. I think, ya falako membe kekan dunia kono molla crossiro futata damento wala mko yirwal ni ñaata men soto démocratie la karola molbe abese kan komale barikaje ko wasein komo aka sangara ning kidi bungolu meng ela kangolu buka lono wala I think that is the height of the sliding back of democracy. Who should be held account? I think this matter should not go without somebody being held account for the decision to disobey, because wala munyinti. It's a disobedience of a judicial decision, a court decision by the High Court. What is your take on that, Essa?
So, menketa wala muko. Okay, Nina Dauda la Carola. Whether Dauda was passed, because lawyer Baika Memfo wala muko. Ama miracle Dauda was personally involved in this decision to rearrest this man, right? Now, but Yalong, we are talking broadly in the context of court orders being violated. Dauda Jallo has been Justice Minister for a long time now. Court order ka violated Dauda le bakuma because you are the Minister of Justice and Attorney General. Okay? Court order ka violate. Comme nga fajang alaji bora ala mobile say nama police ola be police bol hanisai. Compensation on naga yeba mene freda wala case jam. Court order ka dile man sakunda ka violate, and Dauda Jallo is the Justice Minister aka kalamutale. Nobody can exonerate him from that. In terms of this specific case, Ousainou case, Dauda did a bad job. The Minister of Justice did a terrible job in the first place. Now, mune nata ke nde alon no ko. Coming out from the get-go, until be alon no ko. State, everything was pointing to this ko. The state was going to lose this case. And the plan no ko they were going to appeal. But in Yenketa na kabirin somandala. Okay, these people, correct me if I'm wrong, because time difference. I think Kabi arrest yela fenkol mile to the Kotenge, right?
Kunum.
Ha.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yela mile to the Kotenge. Now, this thing was in the morning. Kabi Nilumuta at the mile 2, your court order violate. Hanna taranunko, which will be difficult for me to believe. Ko Dauda man, he doesn't need to write this. Expatriate motion in file. He doesn't need to know that. He's the Minister of Justice. But Abenja Halla, knowing this government katama nyameng, Abenja Halla bake, Nule expatriate motion file, DPP, the Director of Public Prosecution, they have signed or whatever, Dauda Jallo man fenkala mutauto. One obente jahalla. Fula kabila keta. Dauda knowing fully well this was a violation. This shouldn't have happened. As an honorable man, because they call him honorable, but he is very dishonorable, right? As an honorable man, the number one thing in menkela wole mko kaita ni nyula ko alia menkete ngani silo manta ala stop, and that should have been withdrawn. But muneketa that expatriate motion must withdraw for kabirim B mol findita. You get the point? Kabirim B mol findita mol fenkata kumata wo time on expatriate motion ni nata find. So nata rununko o chocho ni mamma manke. Dauda was going to remain silent on the issue, and silence means consent. Meaning, if continue la nyinale, nyin tilimbaliala, and this man was going to be another sister ibe tarra in mile 2 kotenge. So, give me a memfo. And again, a government come credit, in public administration, ning kukendo kata you take credit as the leader, right? But in ning failure financial sotota, you take responsibility. Now, Dauda being the Justice Minister, Mota Bondinola Nyinko completely. Coming after Yaman, Hanna Tarunko personally, he doesn't need to sign this or write this, expatriate motion. But Kabila Kalamutako Aketale, Dauda Tafla, Ndete Taraja, Essa and Njie, all the way in the United States. Ndia Kalamutako, expatriate motion file, Dauda Tara Gambia, Hanna Tarunkabe, because Name Kaka to Tamala, he's always at the airport. I think he's SN Brufut, right? Hanna Tarunkabe, Tama Kanabe Silokan, he must have been aware, fenne keta Gambia sainteng mo bela o kalamata Gambia din Gambia dibe dunia dawda hanibe Laos le o Kiribati ya kalamata menketa Gambia. So Dauda should have raised an alarm kaitan ala mulako aliye menketa anin silo manta ala drop sainteng. But no man can wait for that. What is wrong with Dauda Fintin and come Hakeem ya fanyame? Ka Fintin and Kaitan ko nyimmen keta is unfortunate. Ndola banko kamfandi. Anunka mol mele kanyinfo. Anibe masakunda ebika kumodol fono. What the hell is wrong with our people that nibe masakunda ebika kumodol fono? Nimfo kimbali ya keta wrongta. Yajele ufunta tinale moli ebunya. As Justice Minister, Fintin ya foko men keta is unfortunate, and we are correcting it. Amanya we are corrected those that wala na banko dolo kan ninyi sifa the Justice Minister the responsibility to resign because it's a shame on the Justice Department. So daranga nyimfo. So Dauda nga mello wole mko Dauda te wokela because he is part and parcel of this corrupt system. This system me alonko is there puruka banko dingoli bali la hakola ila nyantola simply because they are there for their pockets. Dauda is part and parcel of this system. So he cannot be exonerated. Mr. Mbai, with due respect, I'm not saying Abulota like suffer, okay? He doesn't need to do that. But by responsibility, because attending Justice Ministry and Kabiri Keta more than 24 hours. Abe daring akang. Amudra nam kotenke statement of Bondi talking about the appeal. Who is interested in that appeal? Because that is within your rights. Why are you even bringing that to the attention of the public? But your statement of Bondile being hypocritical, they did not even mention this expatriate motion. So Dauda Jallo is complicit in what happened, and Hani Melialonko ye Tilimbalia ni Dulato Brufut Sate Okono. Dauda Jallo is complicit in it. Gambian ol Nyantamen Kumandila, and I will urge all Gambians that this guy is the most incompetent Justice Minister Gambian and Nde Melong. Mudi Ningolti de Melong. And Gambians should join Edward Francis Small Center for Right and Justice to call for his resignation. He's incompetent. He is outrightly incompetent, and he cannot handle.
Okay. Essa, you've you've made that point. I want to ask you in terms of what the next steps should look like for the government, because they've expressed interest in challenging the judgment coming kila kontan balaytandi anila som balaytandi kijite nyala e ko be apilo dindala bita high court le ka ko sambaje. So ite amira saying ninga tara government be apilo dindila kanyin decision ota ka appeal in terms of what the proper legal steps are, what the next steps are. Ite amira government nyantaka bula mun simfale noma anim fanam munese keno munese kebaliano fanang under the law nying appeal process wato konome alonko ibe wole kekang, whether these people could be arrested for other matters, or what are the next steps in terms of the appeal process?
Okay, that what question is for me?
Yes, it's for you. Yeah.
Okay. Essa coming from moile fanang ni ajibe Gambia mo jamal nying case be tembo mintote mo jamal sondo mo kono akamim fote ngole be mo la mind kono about Ministry of Justice and in Dauda, because na example Jamal jele ay milfo example Jamal ketale nyung kusifal ka ke Gambia ku buka keje bo fana mu problem mo leti nyung kusifal barin safo noko the Inspector General of Police Amantara, he's not directly answerable to Dauda Jallo. Dauda te wuli lala officer ta telefono taraka Inspector General of Police order. Dauda nabe diamula Inspector General of Police ya abekela through executive order leti abekela executive decision o mi alonko maybe is from the president or from cabinet
of Interior.
Ministry of Interior wobekela cabinet decision or jama wala or directly from the president, because president atela kumu fango is an executive order wofana mala on loi leti mi along anina constitutional nyen loi dol mankanya. President na order direct is an executive order puriya a carry out will be ka kenole, but coming Dauda be silala office abe police all call, IGP call, IGP tying arrest, IGP tying getting. No, I don't think akatama wole nyama. Because atefanang atafan dundila woku sifal kono all the time. But in ying aketale fa pareta. Tengalong there is a lot of politics. Nintol be political theater ying case kono bakele. Wala tina ala mamango warata. bari coming yenying mosono mim foteng expert moson koy ba appeal la yalla wo fanang political decision ole politics at the highest level is afo in fact aligning case bulaje because abe implicational mean willing the kang is going to cause a national security problem abina laban na national security issue la because youth soul GALA and in other NGO soul organizational human rights organizational ibe be wuli la ila chocho be wara la problemo be wara la Gambia te moment la fi wala another Gambia damantem fang international organization United Nations and in organization Jamal iba jipe kan mimbe ke kan Gambia right now mimbe hapun kan kunun nimbi ani minketa num fo GALA form ta ngo belo ni biri ya la property soul so will be amanke aka impact soto Gambia damale kono aka impact soto le all over the world concerning Gambia la security so government fanante la fila wala Gambia chocho bije wati problem will be wulila it's possible appeal ye mimfo appeal te proceed la because nga fu nyameng Minister of Justice sometimes among dol bije imang minister batu pura na aya fuko nga keteng je aksuno dol ta mi yalon ko imala consent nyinin ka fang kombe nyine kala yo ke fa pareta be pare yena lon ko ye mistake ko leke because ye nyi min keteng kanyin opinion o min the media houses all what is not normal. It's not normal in a democracy. Court ye judgment okay. It will ye opinion also on that judgment. Imanye na okay la what is wrong. Amantara na luwa kono. Luwa tije abe daming abe amantara constitutional kono. Amantara na CPC like the criminal procedure code amantara je. Amantara any luwa kono even court la procedure high court procedures amantara je. So any opinion o min keteng nga read le on fatu ker fatu network lem bari wo opinion o fango among sense make iman wo opinion o mi asafe ajanta ato safe la jele a sign ko atele asafe nko wole foko amambo nang dauda bulo kono or he was not aware of that because nga clear information to me alon ta phone wala on media jang nga fo bantateng right now but woketale fa pareta miye woke maybe there will be repercussions afterward but luati je miye sembo dila pour yo opinion o fango safe foya distribute imanyen na wokela so nga fo nyamen fanan jete nyin case nyin justice jete yala judgment okele as far as the high court is concerned akamuta nyin kita civil isuleti say morning government tema bari high court as far as high court is concerned luwala karola nyin case close tale birin justice jete ye judgment okay bira pareta judgment ola file close adunta la office ko no koteke nyin case bantale nin justice jete be fintila nan banta koteke adnata courtroom ko no a different case ibo wole commandila ay continue wala bari bira ye judgment okay nyin case bantale Ministry of Justice la nying opinion o yemin publish thing luwati je mi sembo di la koytul nyanta wo kelale manyen na wo fango kela so ye cool aggravate ye cool jena serious in dile dorong ay mol kamfandi sang wole kinata kala diamoti bari ka appeal min fo fanan wo appeal fanan wo sekeno executive decision comme masakunda sa decide ko nga continue ka appeal ke wala man jari ye appeal ke nying case kono because ila diamula komi Essa ya fo nyamen aning diamula do ya fo nyamen ning case bira la commencé dula ntenga fo le kunum fanan birin case la commencé dula ning bitema ila evidence be victale evidence man bete ya ye fengo fen samanan defense lawyer lamin dabo ka wo boyindile ye diamula samanan prosecution la karola lamin dabo yo diamula al boyindile ye evidence min fanan samanan dabo yo evidence be discredit le katandi ko alla ni evidence ni manke to nyati wala fenta kuma will be get a trial kono trial from one state to another moli alone ko is a very weak case lakina kunu nga fuko nyulu bring yela file de da police yela file de da police fo wala incompetence bi jele because janiba kila Ministry of Justice it will hierarchy soto le ka file approve nyamen fo ye ya fuko iparetale they sign off on that file ya ki Ministry of Justice fanan na futata je hierarchy bi jele fanan from the Solicitor General fo kata fo Minister of Justice fan attorney general fango. So wol fana ye file o jibele incompetence bi jele DPP na la team DPP da manteng al team ole babulu. They went through the file wole incompetent yalo nyim file o ninga nyin samba court. We cannot win anything but political pressure. Faro ketale police fula be fata do baramata seriously. So it will the political pressure is that in case amanya nothing kuna nyimanya na 1 week abe searing fang mola file mola tabulo kan.
Okay.
Nim file manya na 1 day 24 hours kela mola file mola tabulo kan. Nin case dala nyanta continue. So it will yo process min no maka file pus akata fa futata court. Inate iboita nyameng sign ibo malol jara la nyameng since the beginning ibo le kanga ni sign.
Okay. Yeah. Honorable, I have a question for you. A couple of questions. I know we are very soon. But Honorable, lafake nyining kamela ni atare say, answer sutun di nadrom. Ning protest keta. Killing isa fa mole police ole mun sembele soro in terms of the exercise of power. Are there any limits in terms of what they can and cannot do? Because nga di portal men soro wala muko brief into the Brufut kono ye tiaga sol fay mol kam marché auto. An 8-month-old baby was affected. Kari woro kay.
6 months.
Ya samba loptano do. Number 1. Number 2, mol men fana yalon ko ibaramata nyim police protesto kono. Idinte anin tilimbala de kan luwa eso munela in terms of hakoni nyanto. Is a munekeno kaje ko de kontiboro esoto.
Will be the lawyer tano le lawyer mi along ka be government samba court le ka police samba court because near police samba court ye Gambia government ye wole samba court police ye fond soto le minka will be jara fond be police will bula manke police man budget soto le for all this nim police ye loi violate comme ye mol ming barama kunu ye mol ming tiagas mi along ke man fenke there is evidence because there is video evidence bi jele ko ñul man fenke ye tiagas Womolu ye right sotole ye police samba court, IGP samba court. Womolu ye right so the police ye fond sotole wo funds bijele pour ko jor si falke. Ni mol mimbe yo any problem sotole de ebe damages le claim la from the police. Ila wo tiagaso ye minkela aning baramo ye lipale wala kudol. Wol ye right sotole pour yo okay under the laws of the Gambia.
So Ousainou ning abari musodum comme kiti ko ye bula but in ade saying kang arrest. Do they have a case under the law?
Wolela sembo fango wolela case sembo warata bake fang pur wolla loyal ñing wato ko jandi ñi lok mo be banna because soma mo Friday but next week wol sifa mol ba jelale ila loyal be minekela dabo ila loyal be minkela wo bina musunul file la court le bina state sula le koteke compensation Ousainou ye right soto pour ka compensation o soto compensation o min yala time waste nyameng anin kunu ngela rearresto kunu ka muta imanna fella kan wolbe analysis ta sanji fula ibe government bulu tebe bulu min kan abe manna ke tonyat so it's like it's a claim for malicious prosecution ye right so to le pour ka government sue for malicious prosecution ye right so to le fanan ka claim damages do malicious prosecution ni was succeed direct court ba decide la how much damage ibe min sotola kodora karola pour que compenser
abaraka bake honorable mbay atol men yalon ko alben jibe kanale nyinin kar soto fla saba se kilintano la namananta drong sembe liro be suti akan tongola le esa ngamera kuma bebule la faka reaction manke
la fa reaction
sa nyota Hakeem bulu nyinin kar beje ngake ni wonte say Kachakun Fajang.
Yeah, and because I need to go. In fact, I'm late for another meeting for like 10 minutes. So quickly, Bisambai, I agree with a lot of things that we have said, including state mess up in case to Nyame from the onset. And everybody knew ko nganyum falejang, in case Bella Banatene, the likely outcome mobe alone. But also still on this, I'm not obsessed with the man, but still on this Dauda Jalo thing. You mentioned something.
No, you've made your points enough.
No. Mfali, just allow me. Yala, it's important. Okay. Okay. Dauda cannot give orders to the IGP. Correct me if I'm wrong. Insinuating IGP Nimbota police le puru kata nyul arrest at the mile 2, but not from Dauda puru ke arrest. But expatriate motion nyulia wala sfenka. I'm reading from Kex News directly. I'm quoting, right? The legal battle over the freedom of Ousainou and Ami Bojang has taken another dramatic turn. This was yesterday. Just hours after their acquittal, the state has moved to officially block their release. Yalan, this is different from the appeal, right? This is the ex parte motion because filing an urgent motion ex parte to keep the siblings behind bars, and despite a court order, granting them bail. So ex parte motion nyim puruka nyunu muta behind bars was puruka after the bail was granted by the court, right? Kabring court ye bail grant. Then the ex parte motion nyin sammanang puruka nyunu block from being released. Now, IGP fanang mawula faye kanyum police all key wala nobody at the police will send these people without something coming from the Ministry of Justice. Yalla wal fananta sire faye radoron pour kanyul arrest wonyama at mile 2. Kodi kembuto keep behind bars. The order decision must have come from somewhere, and they alone ko that is Ministry of Justice. Ko nganyulu fenkale nga expatriate motion bole file kang malla fiye finti. Then they should be kept in mile 2. And that is why...
But I see the point you are making, but Yala will be is speculative.
No. Fali, that's not... No, you cannot call that speculation. Fali, no. Fali, no. You cannot call that speculation. Listen.
No. We are saying that the government as a whole, collective responsibility,
no, but specifically,
including the police, the Minister of Justice.
You don't talk about Baro time is incompetent. What I'm saying is, government collectively responsible. But we also need to specifically point that certain people or institutions or departments,
which is why we are saying that people need to be held accountable.
Thank you. Wala nang ko yala misambayko. Brother, that sila order the IGP la.
Yes, the police is under the Interior Ministry.
Thank you, but the police cannot also sit here. Arrest at mile 2. Yes, some police was in the Murundi prison.
Essa, we are making the same point. I am agreeing with you, Ko. Police must have acted on an instruction.
Thank you.
Government lay along right now. To action ta kajiko. Momo yo kangodi. Let them be held accountable.
Okay, what I'm saying is, for
sure, 100% is that it came from so and so agency or so and so ministry.
What I'm saying
I agree with you that people need to be held to accountable.
So my point is, finally, my point is cool. Mal yalon tenite be in beba fokande ko jumale oda nyindi mo fono ko exactly. But yes. I am saying the Justice Department Ministry, since it was responsible that justice la banko kan ninyin sifa nata it will nyantaka held accountable because
they should have been involved in the process of remedying the
Thank you very much. And Dauda Jalala were head ninti. So Dauda must be held to account. Just to conclude finally, he is incompetent and he needs to leave that position. Thank you.
Essa Njie, Essa Njie, PhD researcher, political analyst, lecturer, University of the Gambia. Natale Bojang, and Honorable Lamin Mbai, former principal magistrate, Banjo Magistrates Court, and Hakeem Touray, national coordinator of the GALA youth movement. Mbemenkacha kanjam wole mu atenying Ousainou Bojang na bari musola. Senka mutoti police oli menke high court la kiti teo kola ko nyanta bulalale mbewala kacha kanjambi ninga tara le nyinin kar soto wara al belaf la Essa atemela atabita fang bare ninga tara moy nyinin kar soto me alonko ya soto kacha to me alonko mbewala ke kanjang ibe janne mantara nyo sabakan mbe nyola sokan hakilo la drong Hakeem, if you have one or two things to say before we take one or two questions, final statements probably, if an ancient jansawala, ngajibe fombe nyininka dantanu tano la janimbe kukumfala.
Baraka bakem fali, thank you. Ngamira, asekembe murunana ngafoko we are being obsessed with the Attorney General because Birembe Honorable Lamoika, I do not mention and I smiled. You understand? Because ngamwela ko that motion was something that shouldn't have come out at all. You understand? It is something that, deliberately jeopardize our judiciary system. You understand? So, Ndenga Mira, if Dauda is the Minister of Justice and you see something, mi alongo afundita to the citizens of the country, come mi alongo a published outside and alongo, this is definitely putting our judiciary system in jeopardy while you are the serving minister of that justice system. What should have been your first action? I understand. So if the entire nation didn't hear anything from Dauda, though na first conviction by Kalamindi Wolonko, he knew what is happening and he is part and parcel of it. I understand. And he cooked it. I understand. But looking at how poor it came, and in Kalom Fanako, if truly speaking, these people have to be honest with themselves. They shouldn't even have, done this at all. I understand. It was completely wrong and it shouldn't have been done. You understand? Then Betauda Bonlajengako, okay, he is so honorable to do that. But now Ning Amake sa nataje in the public saying what should have been Dauda's reaction. He failed to do anything about it. He failed to say anything about it. Now that is what renders Dauda incompetent. So Essa, I'm not gonna call for Dauda's removal from office, but he is definitely incompetent in this other part. Honestly, he failed us. Yeah, he failed us woefully though.
Baraka. Baraka Bake, Mbadwalu, Ngal Njie, Ngal Tentu. Honorable, do you have the parting words before we take questions?
No, yeah, yeah, it will learning statement we bondi from Ministry of Justice is a big disappointment. What statement we among it's not legal. I'm more convinced. I think I roll ke dan kapete yaro ke fang. Judge, decision on kita High Court papareda. Justice Department imang lua mang semedila puriyo the statement si fadi. Wale mo jama kam fa fang sa fang.
Wale come from there, okay? And the fact that our minister is, sitting comfortably watching all these things unfolding on the citizens, without doing or saying anything about it, people will definitely think or know that he is part and parcel of it. In fact, he's the main reason or the brain behind the whole thing. Even though he's not the one, So
thank you very much.
The other world, they've disappointed not only the citizens of this country, but the entire world, because among Gambia come here from Nyame ko niya jibe ko mi GALA wulundi government ba wala ko mi molla jibe roto ba jela da ma ko na ko ka stage anne. But how is the international community looking at our country? How are they looking at our judiciary system? How are they looking at our government? Come do bije dal amaloka wala bakele, knowing that nying malukul ning cool bebe ke kam bankule la masakunda kam banko mi anko imo banko dingoleti. It is definitely painful to be watching all these things unfolding on your country. Definitely.
It's and very unfortunate ko for Nyame because Nkubeje banko molu na jiko momenti wala mun na tilingo bundari. Nindu walita nindunda.
Well, I think you can bring up some questions to you.
Yes. No, Kafala Baraka Bake, thank you very much indeed. Atol membe Njie kan atol membe lamakan ngal beje ngal tentu. Atol membe normal YouTube, Facebook and Black ko ngol do ma flale ko ala baraka le wato menta ka kafuma. Bawo ngal foto jang sa fale ko al subscribe na YouTube channel ro fananka wakilindile akan sawarindi ñi ñon kusi fale nyal subscribe ta fanam ninga kacha ñi ndati dorong al betar la mo folol kono menu ba akibaro sotla alama tilo to diala alama mbe tankala katani katato la wassalam ala baraka bake. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're listening to Bitilo with Mfali Fadera.